When a bold Nigerian waitress refuses to bow to Seoul's most ruthless crime lord, she awakens something in him that no amount of power or blood could ever touch. But in a world where weakness means death and trust is the ultimate gamble, can two people from opposite worlds survive what comes next? Is she the crack in his armor or the only thing holding him together? Welcome back, friends. This is Prince of Afro-Korean stories, where passion, danger, and impossible romance intersect. Please keep sharing your ideas for future episodes. And kindly like, share, and subscribe, and activate notifications so you never miss our latest content, because what unfolds between Zara and Minho will absolutely wreck you. Repeat yourself, Minho Choi said, his voice deceptively soft, slicing through the restaurant's hushed atmosphere like winter frost. Mr. Choi, she replied steadily, refusing to retreat. The spill was accidental. The kid's terrified enough already. I'll take care of everything. The quiet deepened, suffocating. Minho shifted his attention to her, eyes like black ice. You'll take care of it? Yes, sir. Her tone stayed measured, though her fingers clutched the cloth napkin so tightly her knuckles went pale. We'll replace whatever's damaged or have it professionally cleaned. There's no reason to traumatize a child. Several seconds of shocked stillness followed. One of his companions shifted nervously. Another man's hand drifted toward his waistband. Minho raised a single finger, and everyone froze. Interesting, he murmured, then released a low, mirthless chuckle that made spines straighten. Your name? Zara. Zara, he echoed, rolling it across his tongue like he was deciding whether to savor it or spit it out. You seem to have forgotten your place. I know exactly where I stand, she answered before common sense could silence her. His security detail exchanged alarmed glances. One man subtly reached inside his jacket. Minho waved them off with barely a flick of his wrist. Courageous, he said slowly, and phenomenally foolish. She dropped her gaze slightly, but defiance still burned in her posture. Maybe. But dignity shouldn't be negotiable, sir. Nobody breathed. The storm outside intensified, rain battering the windows as if mimicking the charged air inside. Minho studied her like she was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. Then he lifted the stained napkin from his lap and placed it deliberately on the table. Everyone out. The manager practically yanked Zara into the kitchen, hissing between his teeth. Have you lost your mind? Do you have any idea who you just challenged? She didn't respond. Her pulse hammered in her ears. Half terror, half something she couldn't name. She hadn't planned to confront him. The words had simply erupted. In the cramped corridor behind the prep station, she leaned against the cold wall, closing her eyes. God help me. What have I gotten myself into? After closing time, she stepped into Seoul's neon-drenched night. The streets of Itaewon shimmered with reflected light on wet pavement. She pulled her jacket tighter, replaying every reckless word she'd spoken. With any luck, he'd have forgotten her by sunrise. But when she approached the subway entrance, a glossy black sedan glided to a stop beside her. The rear window descended. Minho's unreadable gaze locked onto hers. Get inside, he stated, not requested. Every survival instinct screamed danger. But something stronger kept her rooted in place. Why? You showed backbone today. I have no use for cowards. I value nerve. He gestured toward the open door. Join me for a meal. My invitation. I already ate tonight. Then keep me company while I do. A ghost of a smirk crossed his features. She hesitated. The driver remained motionless, staring straight ahead like a statue. Zara's breath formed small clouds in the frigid air. Logic warned her to run. Curiosity whispered something else entirely. Against every reasonable thought, she slid into the leather seat. "Wise decision," Minho said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "I could have sent men to collect you. I prefer direct communication." She clasped her hands in her lap. "You mean control?" He glanced at her sideways. "You understand people. I observe them constantly." Occupational hazard. The city streamed past in blurred light. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally, she broke the silence. "Why invite me anywhere? You could summon anyone in this city." He kept his eyes on the passing buildings. "Because you're the first person in recent memory who refused me anything." The vehicle slowed before Namsan Tower's private restaurant, a venue perched high above the glittering metropolis. He stepped out and extended his hand. "If fear is winning, leave now." She accepted his hand. Before entering, he paused, examining her face. "You hide fear well. Only your hands give you away." She almost smiled. "Maybe." The elevator doors sealed them inside, and the world dropped away beneath them. If this hooked you already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment, because what happens between Zara and Minho next will absolutely shatter your expectations. The elevator opened onto a transparent dining space suspended above Seoul's constellation of lights. Rain traced liquid silver paths down the floor-to-ceiling windows, while soft jazz wrapped around the silence between them. A single table waited. Crystal stemware, dancing candlelight, complete isolation. Minho removed his coat and handed it to a soundless attendant before sitting. "The food will arrive shortly," he said. "Choose whatever appeals to you." Zara surveyed the space. "This entire restaurant is closed tonight, isn't it?" "It is. I acquired it 3 years ago." She blinked. "For moments like this?" "For absolute control." He leaned back, observing her reaction. "You disapprove of men in my position, don't you?" "I don't know men in your position," she said carefully. "Most people only mention your name in whispers. I prefer understanding people before forming judgments." Something resembling intrigue flickered behind his eyes. "And what have you concluded so far?" "That you're accustomed to fear. And that kind of power probably feels incredibly isolating." He went still. Then waitstaff arrived with courses so artistically arranged they resembled sculptures. Zara couldn't completely hide her wonder. Minho caught it. "You could work anywhere," he observed. "Why service industry?" "Because meals reveal truth," she answered. "People show their genuine selves when they eat together." He tilted his head fractionally. "And what am I revealing?" She met his stare directly. "Someone who never truly relaxes. Even alone." This time his smile reached his eyes. "Small. Dangerous. Real. You're far braver than you realize." "I'm also not suicidal," she murmured. "So please, eat before I regret this entire evening." He laughed quietly, the sound unfamiliar even to himself. Noted. As he ate, comfortable silence settled between them for the first time. From their vantage point, Seoul's traffic moved like luminous rivers far below. The city felt distant, almost peaceful. "When I was 17, Minho said abruptly, someone attempted to poison me at a dinner exactly like this one." Zara froze mid-breath. "Why share that with me?" "Because you asked who I truly am." His tone carried no pride, just flat certainty. "My existence isn't built on pleasant dinners." It's constructed from constant vigilance. Yet here you are, sharing dinner with me. Call it curiosity. He paused. Or perhaps a test. Of me? Perhaps both. Lightning bleached the sky white for an instant, illuminating the exhaustion carved into his features beneath the hardness. The server returned with tea, then vanished discreetly. Minho's phone vibrated once. He ignored it completely. You mentioned dignity earlier, he said. Where you're from, how is respect earned? Through actions and character, she replied. When someone demands it through intimidation, it stops being respect. It becomes survival mode. Her words hung suspended between them. He stared into his tea for a long moment before setting it down. You remind me of my grandmother, he said quietly. Zara raised her eyebrows. I seriously doubt that. She used to say, power without compassion eventually destroys everything it touches. His voice softened, nearly lost beneath the thunder outside. I stopped listening the day she was killed. Zara's expression gentled. I'm so sorry. He nodded once. Don't be. She was the only person whose disapproval actually frightened me. A sharp electronic tone pierced the restaurant's ambient music. Wrong. Out of place. Minho's head snapped up instantly. The entire atmosphere shifted. What is that? Zara whispered. Trouble, he said, rising fluidly. Stay directly behind me. The elevator doors opened before he reached them. 3 men burst through, one bleeding heavily, another shouting rapid Korean. Minho switched languages mid-stride, his commands cutting through chaos. Zara understood nothing except one repeated name. The Hwang Syndicate. His security pushed him toward emergency exits. He turned sharply to Zara. You're coming with me now. What? Why me? Because they've seen you with me. His tone permitted zero argument. Everything blurred after that. Hidden corridors. Emergency stairwells. The shocking cold of rain as they exploded into an underground parking structure. Tires shrieked. Gunshots cracked in the distance. Sharp reports that made her entire body flinch. Minho shoved her into his car's back seat, slammed the door, and barked orders in Korean. The vehicle launched forward violently. Zara gripped the seat desperately. Are those shots meant for us? Now they are, he said dryly. That's not reassuring. He caught her panicked gaze, something almost amused in his expression despite everything. You wanted honesty. This is my unfiltered reality. Rain hammered the windshield as the driver whipped through a sharp turn into a narrow alley. Minho checked a compact pistol beneath his coat, movements professional and frighteningly casual, then noticed Zara's wide eyes. Don't focus on the weapon, he said firmly. Focus on me. She obeyed. His voice anchored her more than she'd expected. Are you injured? No, she admitted. But I'm definitely not okay. Good. He nodded. Fear keeps you sharp. Keeps you alive. They careened through another turn, headlights sweeping across walls plastered with graffiti and flickering signs. The city's constant noise swallowed the pursuit. When they finally reached the Riverside district, the sirens had faded to nothing. Minho tapped the driver's shoulder. Secondary location. Zara exhaled shakily. You maintain backup safe houses? I maintain everything, he said, though his earlier arrogance had drained away, replaced by bone-deep weariness. The car stopped before an aging building disguised as a shipping warehouse. Inside, warmth and silence replaced chaos and rain. A medic waited. One of Minho's people, efficient and wordless. He examined the graze on Minho's shoulder, bandaged it quickly, then disappeared. Zara hovered near the entrance. Why did you bring me here? Really? Minho sat, unbuttoning his blood-spotted cuff. Because you challenged me publicly, and now the Huang family believes you're leverage against me. Leverage. She repeated the word like it tasted bitter. I won't let them find you. He said it like an absolute fact. You'll remain here tonight. She crossed her arms defensively. I have a job. Responsibilities. You had a job, he corrected. I've already contacted your supervisor. Her eyes went wide. You did what? Told him you'd be taking personal leave. 1 week. Fully compensated. That's not how normal people handle situations. I've never claimed to be normal. She wanted to argue, but exhaustion and adrenaline tangled every thought. Instead, she sank into a chair. So what happens now? You protect me until your enemies vanish? His gaze found hers. Dark and impossible to read. Something along those lines. The storm outside diminished to gentle drizzle. Different silence stretched between them now. Heavier. Loaded with unspoken questions. Zara finally spoke. You know, for someone who controls everything, you look remarkably out of control right now. He released a soft, tired laugh. You observe too much. And you conceal too much. He looked up at her. Then perhaps we balance each other. For the first time, the boundary between captor and protector blurred completely. If you're still with us, hit subscribe, like, and tell me in the comments. Do you trust Minho's intentions, or is Zara walking into something she can't escape from? The sound of approaching engines shattered the night. Zara's stomach dropped as she spotted multiple vehicles outside the perimeter. Too many. Not Minho's people. She grabbed the phone from the side table. No signal. Her voice shook. They found us. The guards moved with military precision, securing every entry point. One pressed a weapon into her trembling hands. If anyone breaches this room, hide. Don't try to be brave. Before she could protest, the first explosion detonated. Windows shattered. Alarms wailed. Smoke flooded the corridor. Zara dropped flat, crawling desperately toward the rear exit. Her hands shook violently, her mind screaming a single name. Minho. Outside, headlights cut through the smoke like searchlights. A vehicle burst through the flames, metal screeching against concrete. The door flew open, and there he stood. Blood soaking his sleeve. Pure fury in his eyes. Zara, he called. She ran to him without thinking. He caught her, pulling her down behind the destroyed vehicle as bullets shredded the air above them. Are you hurt? He demanded, hands checking her for injuries. I'm fine, she gasped. But they tracked us somehow. I know. His tone was all controlled rage, but his hand on her back trembled slightly. They followed me from the negotiation meeting. She stared at him, understanding dawning. You walked into their ambush deliberately. To end this, he confirmed. Permanently. A bullet cracked past his head, close enough to feel. He pivoted, aimed, fired twice. Both shots found targets. The air reeked of cordite and rain. For one heartbeat, everything stopped. Then another wave of armed men emerged from the shadows. Zara's heart seized. There's too many of them. Stay behind me. She grabbed his arm fiercely. No. You'll die out here. Then at least I'll die protecting what actually matters to me. Her throat tightened painfully. You're completely insane. He met her eyes. You said dignity shouldn't be negotiable. So don't negotiate with me now. Then he stepped forward. Weapon raised. Every movement controlled and lethal. But when one attacker aimed directly at Zara, Minho spun, placing himself between her and the bullet. He staggered backward. Minho! She screamed, catching him as he dropped to his knees. His hand pressed against his ribs, blood seeping rapidly between his fingers. Still, he raised his weapon, eliminated the last threat, then collapsed against her shoulder. The world went silent. Only rain remained. Soft. Endless. Indifferent. She held him, tears mixing with rainwater streaming down her face. You absolute idiot, she whispered brokenly. You can't just die on me now. He struggled to speak, breath ragged and shallow. You're safe. That's all that matters. No, she said fiercely, pressing harder against the wound. Not enough. You don't get to disappear after everything. His eyes fluttered closed. Zara. She kept pressure on the bleeding, her voice breaking completely. Stay with me. You still owe me a normal dinner that doesn't end in violence. A faint, pained smile touched his lips. Impossible woman. Learned from you, she whispered. Sirens wailed in the distance. Back up. His people. She refused to release him until they surrounded them both. Hours later, the safe house was silent again, but now it carried the sharp scent of medical supplies instead of gunpowder. Minho lay on the sofa, pale as paper but breathing steadily. A doctor packed equipment away, bowing respectfully before leaving them alone. Zara sat beside him, her hand wrapped firmly around his. When his eyes finally opened, she released a shaky exhale. You're awake. He tried to sit up, grimaced sharply. You stayed? Of course I stayed. Her voice cracked. You nearly died, you reckless fool. He managed a weak smile. Yet you're still here yelling at me. She swatted his arm gently, tears spilling freely now. You can't keep existing like this, expecting to die every time someone looks at you wrong. His expression softened completely. It's all I've ever known, Zara. Then learn something different, she said, voice trembling with emotion. Actually live. Have peaceful mornings. Walk without constantly checking behind you. Let someone truly matter to you. He stared at her for a long moment. You think that's simple for someone like me? No, she said, wiping tears from her cheeks. But nothing worth keeping ever is simple. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was full. Full of everything neither could quite articulate yet. Finally, Minho took her hand properly, threading their fingers together deliberately. You should leave, he said softly, before I pull you further into this darkness. She shook her head firmly. I already fell in, Minho. And I'm not leaving you to drown alone. He stared at her, eyes reflecting something rare and fragile. Fear. Gratitude. Maybe even hope. You're impossible, he murmured. So I've been told repeatedly. Several weeks passed. The Huang syndicate crumbled. Leadership either imprisoned or eliminated. Rumors circulated that Minho Choi had vanished entirely. But in a peaceful coastal town 2 hours from Seoul, a small cafe opened its doors. The sign read New Light. Inside, the rich aroma of freshly roasted coffee filled the air. Zara wiped down the counter, grinning at the man adjusting a light fixture near the window. "Careful up there, boss," she teased. "Don't hurt yourself pretending to be ordinary." Minho shot her a look. "I've asked you repeatedly to stop calling me that." "I've asked you repeatedly to stop acting like one," she countered, smile widening. He climbed down, brushing dust from his hands. "Do you think this place will ever feel completely real?" "It already does," she said simply. "Because you built it yourself. Because you chose it." He looked around slowly. Sunlight streaming through clean windows. Sound of waves beyond the door. Then at her. "And you stayed through everything." She met his gaze steadily. "Told you before. Dignity goes both ways." For a moment they simply stood there, all the weight of everything they'd survived melting into quiet understanding. Then he reached out, brushing a stray curl away from her face. "You changed absolutely everything, Zara." She smiled warmly. "You just finally learned what peace actually feels like." He chuckled softly, taking her hand properly. "Then I'm never letting this go." Outside, the ocean sparkled endlessly. Wind carried laughter from the open window, blending with the gentle hum of the new life they'd built together. And for the first time in years, Minho Choi wasn't a man hunted by ghosts and vengeance. He was simply a man who'd discovered a reason to keep living. Beside him, Zara smiled. The kind of smile that promised this was only their beginning. We've reached the conclusion of our compelling African-Korean story. If this ending made your heart race and brought tears to your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove love can heal the deepest wounds. Share this with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Your support means everything to me. Comment below and tell us, should Minho and Zara's peaceful new life stay quiet, or will the past come knocking again? Let us know what you think.